Hello, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Lots to talk about this morning. We're not going to take the banter out of Arsenal again, but they did lose 3-2 to Brentford, not Brighton, Brentford, if you wanted to know about that. But serious matters, let's talk about Jadon Sancho to start off with. And look, there's a few things coming around from the Telegraph, from the Evening Standard, from Dortmund themselves. But I'm going to start off with, I think it was Jan Åge Fjørtoft, who seems to have connections in with Dortmund. He's been speaking about Sancho quite a lot over the last month. I mean, he's even thrown Liverpool into the equation. We'll have to see about that. Saying that there's not been an offer for Manchester United from Manchester. There's not been an offer for Jadon Sancho yet. And I saw a lot of people on social media sort of panicking about this. And it's good because the combinations of stories this morning are quite interesting around Sancho. You've got Michael Zorg, who is the sporting director of Dortmund, saying that Jadon Sancho is an exceptional player on the pitch, but he causes those problems off the pitch sometimes, and it's not easy for us. So you could read into that, well, hold on a minute, that's a representative of Borussia Dortmund, basically saying that Sancho isn't easy to handle off the pitch. You could read it like that. And I think that's very important because we've seen from Jadon Sancho over the last few weeks some really big statements. The George Floyd thing, absolutely superb what he did for that. Not happy about the haircut fine, going public on that. These are all great things when it's not your player and you want him. And we want Sancho and we're like, yeah, go for it, Sancho. And I'm not talking about the T-shirt, I'm talking about the haircut. The fine for the haircut, I don't know the intricacies about that, but ultimately he wasn't the only one who got fined, and he did break lockdown, and people have been moaning about Rojo doing it for us. So, you know, but the interesting thing is, we all want Sancho, we all think he's great, but are we not blind sometimes to the problems that you might be getting off the pitch? Sancho has had a few problems off the pitch with Dortmund this season, at the start of the season. So it's an interesting thing. We're like, yeah, we don't care. We want Sancho. It's like a bit like when Rojo sort of forced the move from Sporting Lisbon to United. Yeah, you go for it because you want the player, and we're desperate for Sancho. But interesting that Dortmund are talking about that. Not a problem for me though. I mean, we need Jadon Sancho, and I think Manchester United are a big enough club to deal with that sort of a personality. If he's got that personality, I don't know. I think he's a very driven guy, and I think he'd be a fantastic signing for United. So that's interesting. You've also got, there's not been an offer for Jadon Sancho yet. Well, look, I'm not bothered about this. Why would United make an offer for Jadon? I mean, look, let's just break this down. Don't get your knickers in a twist, or your pants, or your commandos if you go empty. Don't worry about it. Like, the fact that United haven't made an offer, or no one else has made an offer for United, why would we make an offer? The season's not even over. The transfer window's not even open. Why would we offer any money for Jadon Sancho now when in 3 weeks' time the Premier League and the Bundesliga could get cancelled again and football could lose even more money, and then you've already made an offer? We're in for Sancho. The offer will come in when the transfer window opens. That's absolutely fine. The next I'll tell you what, I feel like I'm fighting fires this morning. I'm fighting the panic that we're not going to get Sancho. So I'm not worried that we've not made an offer, because I don't think anyone will make an offer at the moment. The second thing I think was coming out of the Telegraph, saying that Dortmund want 115 million euros or pounds for Jadon Sancho. Again, I take no notice of this. I actually was looking at what Andrea Pirlo said about Paul Pogba about 3 months before we signed him in 2016. He said, if Gareth Bale's worth 150 million euro, then you've got to have at least that for Paul Pogba, which 150 million euro in 2016 was probably about 130 million. We paid 90 million, 40 million under that. So all these headline figures of United are going to have to pay 120 million, 115 million, 100 million. Forget about it. Get into the world that we live in now. An unprecedented world where the arse has fallen out of the financial market in football. I ain't worried about headlines that Dortmund want 120 million. I'm not worried that they want 150. I'm not even worried that they want 100. I know United wants him, and United will get the deal done that they feel is good for them and is good for Dortmund. I ain't bothered about headline figures about how much we're going to get, how much they're going to get. At the end of the day, Sancho, Manchester United, that's all that matters. What the fee is, but I'll tell you now, I've said it before, it won't be any more than 90 million quid, because it just won't be, not in this market, and Dortmund will realise that. So again, I'm not worried about that. A few people getting a bit worried, Dortmund will sell, but they won't sell for anything less than 115 million. Well, hold on a minute. Their sporting director is subtly slating him in public. Dortmund, another story this morning as well, that Dortmund accept that he's going to go. I think it was in the Standard. Saying that that Dortmund accept that he will be leaving. So I mean, ultimately, where are we through all these 4 different stories from the sporting director at Dortmund, from Fjortoft, from the Telegraph, from the Standard, from anybody else who wants to join the party? There's no offer for Sancho. Well, there won't be. 115 million, never going to happen. He wants to leave. Dortmund talking about him off the field like he's a bit of a handful. Like, I mean, is it only me sat here going, he's leaving this summer, it's inevitable, and it's actually starting to play into United's hand as that price starts to come down. So I ain't worried. The only thing that worries me is if we don't get Champions League football, and I've said that before. If we don't get Champions League football, that could be a problem for us, but ultimately I ain't too fussed. Welcome to Zulkari Zabidi and M. Douglas, latest members of the United Stand Members Club. Thank you for joining, both of you. Really appreciate that. And can be good if they sign Raul Uzman instead of Sancho, says Aswell Way. And happy... a legend. It's not my birthday. I'm loving that the live comments are saying it's my birthday. It's not my birthday. Don't know what's going on with that. Pogba Bruno will get us top 4, says Yusuf. And do you see Lingard in the squad, says Annie. Well, I think he will be for the next 9 games. And hey, Mark, if we get Werner, where would he fit in? I mean, Simrat needs... Can somebody get Simrat into June 2020? I think he's still stuck in March. It's Werner to Manchester United. What are you on about? Sorry, it's already been discussed, but anything in the Ansu Fati news? No, jargon. Absolute rubbish. No, nothing in there at all. Okay, so we've spoken about Sancho. Let's move on to other stories. Tolisso. Let's talk about Tolisso for a moment. Now, Tolisso was mentioned on the show last night. Manchester United linked talking to Tolisso. I said it was a load of crap. Manchester Evening News basically confirming that. Now, I've just got to keep saying this. Some people don't like the Manchester Evening News because it is cool to not like the Manchester Evening News. There might be certain journalists you don't like. You might just not like the outlet. You might think it's a bit clickbaity. Whatever. I will tell you now, categorically, factually, 100%, the Manchester Evening News gets stuff from Manchester United Football Club. I've got no reason to blow wind up the backside of the Manchester Evening News. I've got absolutely none. But I know for a fact that they get info from Manchester United Football Club. So when I quote Manchester Evening News, I do it based on who's written it and also if they put a little comment. And on Tolisso, they're saying that as far as they know, there is no interest in Tolisso. Manchester United's priority is Jadon Sancho, an attacking midfielder, which is pretty much what we know, you know, and we, as I said, Sancho, Grealish, Bellingham until we find anything else out. I don't believe Havertz, I don't believe Van der Beek, and I certainly don't believe Tolisso. So Manchester Evening News saying that this morning about Tolisso, United not in for him, he's not a priority. Which, again, I said this yesterday, I'll keep saying it, we can't be in for every player that people come out. Just because someone's got a blue tick on Twitter and they say we're in talks doesn't mean it's true. It can't be true. If you believed every player United are linked to by somebody with a blue tick, we'd have bought half the bloody world. So we're not in for Tolisso, and I'm very happy about that. But, you know, take that how you want. How much money do you think we've got to spend this summer, says Ben, another one of our members. I think that I would say that we've got about 70 million net. How you construct that 70 million net, I don't know. But we've got 70 million net, which means we'll spend £70 million plus whatever we get for players that we sell. So, and we will sell some players. Rojo will probably go for 10. Smalling will go for 10. Jones might go for 10. Lingard might go for 20. You got 50 million there. So 120 million if that happens. Mark, reports saying 118 million for Sancho. Surely not, says Card Tricker Jeffrey. No. I'm not having. I mean, I've already covered it, Jeffrey, but I will cover it for you again. 150 million euros was what we were buying Pogba for 4 years ago. That was the price that was being quoted. The euros were just happening as well. He's not going for anything less than 150. We got him for 89 million. So I'm not bothered about fees because they always get overinflated and what's actually paid is a lot less. I mean, look, we were going to pay, and we should have paid 60 million for Bruno. We paid 47. So it will be what it will be. Also, some talk about Moussa Dembele and the fact that Lyon are basically putting him up for sale, which is going to happen in France. I've spoken about this a lot. Lyon will have to sell some players because they're not in Europe in the Champions League next year. Their league hasn't finished. They've lost a lot of money. There'll be a lot of French clubs in this situation. I think it's quite interesting and telling that United are not linked to any French players from the French league, which I think, in my opinion, is a bit of a mistake. I think there are some really good talents in the French league that will be available for cheap, but we don't seem to be in for those. We seem to be focusing on British Premier League players again, apart from Sancho, where we will have to overpay. And again, I think I've said this before, I think there's a lack of trust in our scouting networks from the management, and maybe that's a lack of knowledge for themselves. I mean, let's be honest, if you're a manager and you don't know much about the French league or the Portuguese league or the Italian league, but you know everything about the Premier League, you've got a scout saying buy Declan Rice, you've got another scout saying, I'm telling you can get Babakari Samari for a third of that price and he's better. You're going to go with Declan Rice if you don't know that French league because it's too much of a risk. And I feel that that's what United are doing. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer next season and Michael Carrick need to get on the plane like Sir Alex used to and get out to Europe watching games themselves. There's no point having scouts all around Europe, which is what we've got, and then not trusting those scouts and signing players that you know about in the Premier League. They need to get out like Sir Alex did and start watching lots of games around Europe because there's a lot of good players to be had. And the French league is a league this summer where we could have got a player or two in for very good price, but we won't be doing any of it. And that brings me back into Moussa Dembele. He's available as a striker from Lyon. He's a good striker. I think he would fit, you know, if you think Ighalo's good, then I think Moussa Dembele's as good and he's a lot younger. But there's the answer to the question. We won't be signing Moussa Dembele this summer. Despite him being available for about 30 to 40 million quid, we won't be signing him because we've gone with Ighalo. So it's not just that we didn't go in for Werner. We won't be going in for Moussa Dembele. We won't be going in for Raul Jimenez. There's plenty of strikers available this summer for a good price. We're not going to go in for them because we've kept Ighalo, and that probably feeds back into that previous question. We don't actually have that much money to spend to go and do advantageous things in this market. Thanks to Mark, Flex, Rance, Draughty, Saeed, Ricky and Adam for keeping everyone good during these times, says MLJ. Thank you very much. And Mr. B says, if Bellingham plus one midfielder signs, do we then sell Lingard and Pereira? Also, who else would you sell? Because I'm feeling another Deadwood bonfire from Ollie. This is Mr. Beast. I think please do share the video if you're watching and smash a like on the video as well. It's the live transfer show. We are live at 8 o'clock tonight as well. I think that what is interesting when you look at United's priorities are, and Bellingham's, I don't even think Bellingham, you can say he's the CDM. Bellingham's for the future. He's 16 years of age, so he's off the table really. If we get him, great. If we don't, we won't go and get another one of him. He's one for the future. The two priority positions for United appear to be definitely Jadon Sancho as a right winger and an attacking midfielder, whether that's Grealish or Van der Beek, but I think it's Grealish. So why are we looking at an attacking midfielder? We're going to look at this a little bit in more detail on the 8 o'clock show tonight because I want to feed into Pogba's coming back and what he offers. But if we're looking for an attacking midfielder, it's quite interesting because we've already got Bruno. And Bruno's going to be one of the best attacking midfielders in Europe. I believe he's already there already. So why do we need another attacking midfielder? And I think this is about sharing the load. It's about injury. It's about how we want to play. It's about competition for places. Because even though you've got Bruno, you've still got Mata, Lingard, Pereira. So if you want to bring an attacking midfielder in, and you've already got Bruno, Pogba can play there as well, and you've got Mata, Pereira and Lingard, those three players, there's too many there. Like, there's too many. I mean, two. The number two. There is too many in the wider context, but there's also too many. Mata, I can't see Mata going. I just can't see Mata going. We gave him a 2-year contract last year. Lingard, I think we can all see going. And Pereira probably should go, but I didn't think would go. So maybe those two could be on the move, and you could probably get in this market easy 30 million for them. Some might even say more. 15 million each sounds a little bit cheap, but it's a cheap market. But there's definitely an opportunity to do that, I think. And I wouldn't get rid of Mata. I think Mata would be happy to be a bit part player, whereas Pereira and Lingard should, quite rightly, want a little bit more than that. Mark, maybe we could go back to 4-3-3 with two advanced playmakers, says Historical Stratagem. I think that would make us a little bit hard. Josh, a little bit weak at the back. Josh says we're going to be playing West Brom twice tomorrow. I really wish they were putting it on MUTV, but apparently they're not. I think we'll be struggling to get the highlights, to be honest with you. But I don't get why. I don't get what the secrecy is about the pre-season. It's a pre-season game. Like, this would normally be on MUTV. I don't know why we can't have it. What's the shock? Oh, United, whatever the team is tomorrow, it doesn't give Mourinho a massive advantage, and he'll find out the bloody score and how we play anyway. So why can't the fans have it? Any news on Van der Beek today, says Jake Green? No, I think the Van der Beek thing is starting to become what I suspected it was. A load of nonsense fed out to spin a positive away from the negative that was not going in for Werner. I suspect that Van der Beek will come nowhere near Manchester United. I think it's all about Real Madrid and getting them interested. So I think we've been played again there. I don't know whether the clubs had played a part in it. I don't know whether it's part of the club's PR spin strategy or not. But I said this on Sunday. I would really like Van der Beek and I'd prefer him over Grealish, but I don't think there's anything happening with it. All the central midfield players we are being linked with just makes me think Pogba has been told he can leave next summer. Why else would we need them, says Sean Turner. Well, look, Sean, it's not even about Pogba being told he can leave next summer. United don't have that power. If Pogba doesn't sign a new contract, he will go next summer because the following summer he'll go for free. So United will have to sell him to get some money. I don't think we have any power in the Pogba situation. Suffice to say, we're not selling you this summer unless we get a fair offer, and there's not going to be any fair offers. So we keep Pogba by default. I think if the lockdown hadn't happened, Pogba was going to force a move this summer anyway because there would have been plenty of people who could afford him. He probably will go. Well, he will go next summer if he doesn't sign a new contract. That's our only hope. Phil Jones, I forgot to mention this yesterday. I've sort of hidden it in the middle of the news show. Phil Jones didn't play last week because he's injured. Where the bloody pink boots? I mean, where do I start with Phil Jones? I mean, look, he gets ridiculed a lot, and I think, like I said about Matic last night, he deserves it. Like, he's made so many mistakes. That offside trap he invented against Sheffield United is one of the funniest things I've seen of the season, where the back three, or it was a back four because we played a back five. So we've got four defenders in a line here, and then Phil Jones is back here with the Sheffield United striker. But I like Phil Jones. I do like Phil Jones. I just think he's woefully out of his depth as a Manchester United player. It reminds me of playing... look, he's better than me, of course he is. But it almost is like one of us playing for United. Absolutely loves the club. Loves playing for the club. But we're not good enough. And I just think, this is just not the thing that Phil Jones needs, is it? We've been in lockdown for 3 months. Basically sat at home doing a few treadmill runs and a few interviews, and he's still got himself injured. Now, to be fair, he's probably got himself injured coming back from lockdown, doing a bit of training, but it just shows you the ultimate, beyond the banter, the ultimate problem with Phil Jones is he's always injured. He has got to move. I don't know why we gave him a contract, but he a lot of people were saying, why didn't Phil Jones play last week? Injured. And it is sad. I agree with Jose205. It's just become a sad story now, and I think there's no future for Phil Jones at Manchester United, and I think Ollie's realised that himself this season. So it's time to go, I'm afraid. We've spoke about Tolisso. What's that I've put there? Sometimes not easy. I don't know what I've put there. Oh yeah, no, we've actually spoken about that. We've spoken about that. That's absolutely fine. Sometimes I put my notes down. I don't even understand what they've said. I've put sometimes it's not easy, and then I've just remembered we've already spoken about that. It's what the Dortmund sporting director said, wasn't it? Ben Yedder says Daniel G. No, won't happen. I think Ben Yedder, the best opportunity to sign Ben Yedder was last summer. He went to Monaco. I think he might want to leave Monaco. And I think, again, he wouldn't be a terrible signing. I mean, he's a little bit on the older category. But I don't think Ben Yedder's what Ollie wants anyway. I don't want to be heightist, but he's too small. I think Ollie likes this strong number 9 that Agallo is. He likes that Haaland sort of player that he wanted to bring in. I think that's the sort of number 9 that Ollie wants to bring in. I think Ollie, you can almost tell... And I'm half joking here, but you can almost tell that Ollie loves Football Manager, because he does love Football Manager, and he almost manages like a Football Manager sometimes. Now, Football Manager is a computer game, and I think having played Football Manager, and I do enjoy it, you become a little bit you overthink things, and I think you think, I need a few formations. In the last 20 minutes, I need to be able to mix it up and put something different on. And I think that's how Ollie is trying to manage Manchester United. He seems to change formations, but he overthinks it. We've seen the evidence this season. He'll go to Everton away and try a formation that we've never used before. We'll play Chelsea or Liverpool and he'll go to 5 at the back. We'll play somebody else at home and we'll play 2 holding midfielders to make sure that we don't concede, but we've got a bit on the attack as well. He changes the formation a lot, and he also is after players that he can change the formation in the last 20 minutes. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. There are managers out there that do that. But actually, when you look at the teams that have won the Premier League title over the last 10 years, how many of them have changed their formation a lot through the season, and also, more importantly, have a plan B in the last 20 minutes? Not many of them do. Like Liverpool this season, they've been too good, you would say, to have to change their formation or have a plan B. Man City, when they've won the title, has Pep got a plan B, lump it up to the striker way, or does he just keep playing the way he plays? He keeps playing the way he plays. Chelsea, pretty much the same under Conte and under other managers that have won it. Leicester won the title playing one way through the whole season. So I think sometimes Solskjaer just needs to, and it's not a criticism, it's a construction, and that's what he is constructing something. But I think Ollie needs to wander away from analysing every game and going, that game I'm going to play like this game I'm going to play like that. I need a striker in the last 20 minutes, I can lump it up to them and they can hold the ball up. I don't think we need to think like that. I think football's changed. I think you need to... It's almost like being a jack of all trades but a master of none. And we need to master our plan A before we start coming up with a plan B. And that's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with a plan B, but we haven't got a plan A. So when plan A is established and then teams figure out our plan A, then you go for a plan B. But that can take years. Like nobody's figured out Liverpool's plan A or City's plan A. It's still a very hard plan to beat. And I think that's what United need to do. We need to find a way of playing football with a plan A that is easy on the eye for the fans, it's entertaining, and it causes teams problems. And I tell you what, sitting back and hitting teams on the break is not a plan A. Because if we do that, you will all be bored to death. But more importantly, I could get a 0-0 against Manchester United if they sat back. If you give me 11 decent Premier League players, I could get a draw. And this is what worries me next week about Mourinho, because he's the master of a draw. If you sit back against Chelsea and they attack you, you can hit them on the break. Same happens with Liverpool and Manchester City. But if I'm in charge of Chelsea and I say, hold on a minute, they're going to sit back, and when we make a mistake, they're going to exploit the space with their fast players. Right. Don't push forward. Invite them onto us. They won't do it. We won't do it. We'll play out a boring 0-0. And that's the thing. That's why plan A of counter-attacking football is not a plan, because you're always reliant on the goodwill of your opposition to try and break you down. And if they don't, it becomes a stalemate. So this is why we need a progressive plan A. And hopefully we're going to see that over the next few games. What do you think Jones is worth in the current value, says Muzzy Lions? Well, there's a banter answer and there's a real answer. I think Phil Jones in real life is worth about £10 million, if we can get it. The banter answer is an IOU and a post-it note. But I think 10 million is about right. Arpan Pal says, I don't like this crap philosophy. I will play good when I will have good players. Klopp never gave up his philosophy, even when they threw 3-goal leads. Yeah, well, I agree with you on Arpan. I mean, I think there are still some United fans who are like, Ollie will start showing us how to play when he's got Pogba and Sancho. Well, you know, as I said, Rochdale came and played their way and they haven't got anybody. So a decent manager has a philosophy and they play by their philosophy, don't they? And we need to start doing that because we haven't seen it enough. And that's why this next 9 games is exciting, because I think we are going to see it. I think we have to. You can't have a team that's got Pogba, Bruno, Rashford, Martial in it and sit back and soak up pressure. You've got to go on the front foot. And now is the time. Now is the time. Osman would be another good signing, Manu, but it's again, a French striker, a striker playing in the French league would be available for a good price. There are so many good strikers out there that would be good for United, that would come into the club, would fight with Martial, but wouldn't necessarily dislodge him straight away. Osman, Dembele, Werner was one, Jimenez was another one. There's 4 there. And they're all around 40 million quid. But we're not in the race because we've kept Agallo. So it's a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. And that's why I think the story about That's why I think the story about Van der Beek was released at the weekend to move people off the scent of we need a striker. But, you know, I don't know. It's 7 days today. Tonight, 7 days tonight, a week tonight. It sounds better. No, it's not. I've lost the days. It's 8 days. I keep thinking it's bloody Friday. It's Thursday. I've lost a day this week. I've gained a day this week. So 8 days until we play Spurs. We'll be waking up this time next week to Man City smashing Arsenal. That's what will happen. Do we need a centre-back? Says Matthew Lone. I think we do need a centre-back to play with Harry Maguire. I hope that we've already got it with Twansebi and Bailly. But if we haven't, then we do need a centre-back to play with Maguire. I think Lindelof will do a good enough job for us to get top four. But I think if you want to win a title, that's not a title-winning centre-back partnership. I think you need synergy, you need a relationship, and what those two lack is pace. And I think we need somebody with a bit of pace. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Smash a like on the video, subscribe if you are new, and we are back at 8 o'clock tonight. Looking forward to that. Got a good bit of visuals to sort of break some down interesting stuff. We were talking about Bruno last night. If you didn't see it, check that out. And I'll speak to you all in a bit.